Let's talk about Attorney General Pam Bondi, a figure who's no stranger to controversy. But this time, she's found herself at the very center of a political firestorm. Bondi just endured a congressional grilling that left her not just under the spotlight, but absolutely drenched in bipartisan outrage as lawmakers from both sides of the aisle took turns turning up the heat. She was supposed to deliver a bombshell with the Jeffrey Epstein files, something so explosive it would shake the very foundations of the political world and finally provide answers to questions that have haunted the public for years. Instead, what we got was a whimper, not a bang. Bondi's explanations fell flat, and Congress was more than ready to carve up her justifications, dissecting every word with surgical precision. The disappointment in the room was thick enough to cut with a knife, and lawmakers from both parties united in a rare moment of shared frustration, their hopes for real answers dashed. Bondi was cast as the hero who'd finally exposed the villains lurking in the shadows, but when the curtain lifted, all anyone saw was more curtain. No revelations, just more questions. Now, she's defending herself from every angle, walking a political tightrope over a pit of angry badgers, with critics and the media circling like sharks, eager for a misstep. How did one of the country's top law enforcement officials become the star of a congressional roast? Her every move scrutinized and her reputation hanging in the balance. This isn't just about Bondi's troubles. It's about the public's trust in our institutions, the credibility of those sworn to uphold the law, and whether justice is still possible in a system so often clouded by scandal. The Epstein case is a perfect storm of scandal, unmet expectations, and the public's hunger for accountability, a hunger that grows with every unanswered question and every closed door. Buckle up. We're about to dive headfirst into the messy, baffling world of Pam Bondi and the Epstein files, where nothing is quite as it seems, and the search for truth is more urgent than ever. Pam Bondi's job was a political high-wire act, satisfy the mega base with a full Epstein reveal, but avoid implicating Trump. Instead, she managed to anger everyone. Democrats accused her of a cover-up, claiming she protected Trump and manipulated the narrative. Republicans, especially MAGA loyalists, felt betrayed by the lack of explosive revelations. They expected a blockbuster, but got a legal snooze fest. Bondi's attempts to please both sides left her isolated, a political island surrounded by bipartisan anger. She failed her enemies and her friends, turning from key player to lightning rod. The result? Deepening distrust in the very institutions she's supposed to lead. Bondi tried to walk the line and ended up in the crosshairs of everyone. It's a mess, and she's right in the middle of it. The hype around the Epstein files was massive, a secret client list that would finally expose the powerful. For weeks, headlines blared with speculation, and social media buzzed with theories about who might be named. The public waited with bated breath, convinced that this was the moment when long-hidden secrets would finally come to light. Bondi fueled expectations, promising a bombshell. She spoke confidently to the cameras, hinting at revelations that would shake the foundations of the elite. Her words only added fuel to the fire, making the anticipation almost unbearable. But when the DOJ released the files, the supposed list was missing, and officials claimed it never existed. The documents were heavily redacted, and the most anticipated details were nowhere to be found. Instead of clarity, there was only more confusion. Instead, the public got recycled info and hearsay, like ordering a pizza and getting an empty box. People scrolled through the files, searching for answers, but found only disappointment and déjà vu. The disappointment was palpable, and Bondi's credibility took a hit. Her promises now seemed hollow, and trust in the process eroded even further. Supporters felt duped, critics felt vindicated, and the narrative shifted. Was there ever a list, or were we all strung along? The debate raged on talk shows and online forums, with everyone searching for someone to blame. The real outrage wasn't just about missing names. It was about the sense that justice was denied again. For many, it felt like another example of the powerful escaping accountability, while ordinary people were left with more questions than answers. The Epstein case is a symbol of abuse of power, and the files were supposed to offer answers. Instead, they deepened the sense of mistrust and frustration that has surrounded the case from the very beginning. When they didn't, it reinforced the belief that the system protects the powerful and buries the truth. The secrecy and lack of transparency only made suspicions grow stronger. For many, this wasn't just political. It was personal. Victims and their families had hoped for closure, but instead, they were left with more pain and uncertainty. The letdown stings because it feels like the last chance for real answers slipped away. In the end, the promise of truth was replaced by another chapter of disappointment, leaving the public to wonder if justice will ever truly be served. You'd think Republicans would defend Bondi against Democratic attacks, but the loudest criticism came from her own party. MAGA figures and congressional Republicans accused her of overhyping and under-delivering. The promised earthquake was a dud, and now they want a special counsel to investigate. Activists and lawmakers went public with their frustration, exposing deep divisions within the GOP. Even party leaders struggled to project unity as cracks widened. Reports of friction between Bondi and other officials revealed a fractured administration. The Epstein fiasco exposed these rifts, leaving Bondi in a weak position. Being attacked by your own side is far worse than facing political opponents. The mega fortress is cracking, and Bondi is standing right on the fault line. It's a dangerous place to be. As the firestorm grew, the White House built a wall of denials, deflections, and cries of fake news. The administration's response was swift and calculated, determined to control the narrative before it spiraled further out of their grasp. Behind closed doors, officials scrambled to craft statements, while outside, the press clamored for answers. When reports suggested Trump's name appeared in the files, officials went on the offensive, calling it media lies. They accused journalists of twisting facts, insisting the coverage was nothing more than a politically motivated smear campaign. The official line was clear. Trump's name was there, but so were hundreds of others, and it was all hearsay. They argued that the documents proved nothing, dismissing the allegations as baseless speculation and emphasizing the lack of concrete evidence. This became the administration's mantra, repeated in every interview and press release, aiming to minimize the story and reassure the base. Loyal supporters echoed these talking points, while the media continued to dig deeper. But Trump had promised total transparency, and now the administration was downplaying the very files they once hyped as proof of their integrity. The contradiction was hard to ignore, leaving many Americans confused and frustrated. Supporters felt bait and switched, while critics saw more evidence of a cover-up. The sense of betrayal grew, fueling anger on both sides of the political divide. The White House's strategy rallied loyalists but deepened public suspicion. For every supporter who stood by the administration, there was another American who questioned what was really being hidden. The controversy quickly became a political battle, with truth taking a backseat to loyalty. Politicians on both sides used the moment to score points, while the real issues faded into the background. The wall of denials may protect Trump for now, but it does nothing to restore faith in the process or heal the growing rift in the country. The result: more division, less trust, and a nation left wondering if the truth will ever come out. The underwhelming Epstein files only fueled demands for more answers. Congress responded with subpoenas, signaling a total breakdown of trust with the DOJ. Calls for a special counsel grew, even from Republicans, showing just how deep the dissatisfaction runs. The push for transparency is bipartisan, but legal hurdles remain. Judges have blocked the release of some court files. The fight for answers is now a two-front war: political in Washington, legal in the courts. This slow-moving crisis only adds to public frustration and suspicion that the truth is being buried. Each new development adds fuel to the fire, keeping the controversy alive. The administration can try to stonewall, but the pressure isn't going away. The demand for answers is a direct challenge to Bondi's authority. The story is far from over. The Epstein saga has turned the Department of Justice into a political stage. Every move is now seen as partisan, helping the president, appeasing the base, or scoring points. The DOJ's reputation for impartial justice is in tatters, its independence blurred under Bondi's leadership. Lawsuits from former DOJ officials claiming political firings only reinforce fears of a politicized department. Bondi's actions are seen as those of a loyalist, not an independent prosecutor. The DOJ is trapped in political theater, with every move scrutinized for hidden motives. Public trust is eroding, and faith in the rule of law is at risk. The Epstein case is a case study in this decline. Can the DOJ ever restore its reputation, or is it permanently damaged by partisan wars? Pam Bondi, once a key Trump ally, is now walking a political tightrope. She wasn't the original pick for Attorney General, but became a loyal soldier until the Epstein files debacle. The MAGA base wanted a bombshell. Bondi delivered a dud, damaging her credibility. Her survival now depends on Trump's continued support, but criticism from within the movement is growing. Even inside the administration, her position looks shaky. Bondi's story is a cautionary tale about the pressures of serving a populist movement that demands dramatic results. She tried to balance legal realities with political expectations and satisfied no one. Now, she's caught between the law and a base that wants red meat. Whether she can recover remains to be seen. For now, she's a symbol of how hard it is to turn populist promises into political reality. The Epstein story is far from over. Legal and political battles will continue for a long time. Congressional subpoenas and court fights over sealed documents guarantee more confrontations. The quest for information is a multi-front war with no end in sight. Ghislaine Maxwell remains a wild card. If she talks, the case could explode again. The lack of answers has fueled conspiracy theories and partisan attacks. Democrats accuse the Trump administration of a cover-up. Some Trump supporters say their own leaders aren't transparent enough. The case remains toxic and divisive, a symbol of deep distrust. At its core, this is about whether justice is truly blind. The public's demand for answers is a demand for accountability. No one should be above the law. The fight for truth and justice in the Epstein case is far from finished.